Hello guys, I hope you're doing fine today. I'm here to give you a prophecy the Lord gave me for the nations of Africa this very day, Friday the 4th of August 2023 from 4:36 to 9:13 a.m. Prophecy for Africa. Tensions and threats of the outbreak of war in Niger, coups and political instability in other African nations. The vision I saw. I had a vision and I saw myself park my car in an area. This seemed to be an African nation because I saw only blacks, both in the streets and in other areas. While I was still where I parked my car, it seemed there was a political issue that arose and there was about to be the outbreak of war. Military men started parading in huge military trucks around the whole city. I remained in my car for a while, then later I came out of it and went somewhere. I arrived at this location and saw this great prophet in a hall with some of us. We began to worship God and pray. This is what the vision means. There will be political instability in several African nations which will involve the military. Some of these will include external reasons motivated by nations of the West and other world giants who are losing their grounds on African soil. One of the nations I see having such an issue is Niger. There shall be tension and like the outbreak of war. I see other African nations in a state of alert as there shall be military coups that shall take place with bid to overthrow the ruling government. With all this, there shall be an atmosphere of fear in some nations due to the great presence of armed military men in the streets. In other nations, I saw like the military men trying to suppress a rebelling population. All this will happen in several African nations in the near future. But then I saw prayers being made by God's servants and the Lord decided to restore the nations. There was a return of peace for some nations, and in others, the tensions miraculously disappeared and wars were completely aborted. Thereafter, I witnessed fast development in these African nations. Beautiful infrastructure, very good roads, hospitals and schools. The youth will enjoy and move happily around the whole town. I saw the nations having enough food supplies and all was fine. There was electricity and businesses began to grow faster than they ever did. There was an economic growth that was second to none. This nation became so great and strong in less than no time. This was because they now had control of their resources and used that for the good of the nations and their people. I also saw great unity between African nations, both physically and spiritually, because in times of crisis, other African nations gave support to their brothers who were in distress. The Lord says, if Africa becomes united, she shall rise above all the nations of the world. But if she divides and betrays her brothers for some personal gain, her future pain shall be greater than that of the past. This is because I saw some African nations and blocs who were going to be bribed by the West and other world giants to stand against their own African brothers and create an opportunity for the West to lay its hands upon them once again and bring them down. Some of the nations I saw the West planning to pass through their government and blocs with bid to take down their African brothers are Nigeria, Ethiopia, Senegal under the reign of His Excellency Macky Sall, and Ivory Coast. The Lord cautions you to stand for your African brothers in these times and not focus on personal gain that will bring pain to the continent later on. Africa is rising and becoming stronger daily, but this can only be sustained if Africans all unite as one in heart and spirit, loving each other despite our languages and flag colors. We are all one and shall stand as one. If we do so, Africa shall be glorious in the near future. This is the word of the Lord for the nations of Africa. So this is what the Lord told me about Africa in a vision today. And with all that's happening, the Lord shall restore our continent. But He cautions that let's be united and work together, working hand in hand, brothers with brother, every nation, despite the languages, the flags. We are standing as one, as Africans. And if we unite and stand together, Africa shall rise, and the continent shall be developed, shall rise to the top, stronger than all the other nations of the world. That's what the Lord told me. If we stand together and stick as one, not letting our languages, our flags and nations divide us, but standing as one people, Africans, we shall rise to the top of the world. And the Lord is cautioning nations that are willing to take bribe from the West in order to distort the peace and unity between African nations. The Lord is cautioning you not to do so. If we do that, we shall weaken ourselves, and through that, they shall bring us into an economic slavery once more. If Africans stand together, then this continent shall rise to the top of the world, and it shall be a glorious moment for our continent. So stand together in unity and love, both physically and spiritually, and we shall see our continent rise to the top, and nothing will be able to stop us. This is the message of the Lord for the nations of Africa. God bless you all. That was Prophet Samuel Fombang. Shalom.